Welcome to the Connected Lawyer podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Bryan. And what do you want to talk about today, Aaron?
Well, I want to come back to this conversation about Microsoft To Do. And specifically, I think what I've kind of been focusing on, first of all, I'm going to say what I like about Microsoft To Do. And I am sort of one of these to do app addicts, I think you might call it. I go from one to the next, in part because I love them. I'm just fascinated by productivity apps. And, we've talked about Trello and we've talked about Todoist and, all these different things. And so I honestly, I think I've tried them all and I'm circled all the way back to Microsoft To Do. And there's a couple things I like about it. Number one, I like the fact that it's tightly integrated into the Microsoft monopoly or whatever you want to call it. It fits in with Outlook. It fits in with Teams. And so I just kind of like living in that world, that we're a Microsoft driven firm. And so I want to use the Microsoft app if I can. And it's included in the subscription, right? So it's free.
Right.
So that's nice, and I like just the way that it works. I like the fact that you can sort of move tasks up and down manually, instead of having to order them by some predetermined menu, sort by name or sort by date. You can just sort manually, and it's really nice. It's a really good looking app, and it's really fluid. But the thing that drives me crazy about it is that at midnight every night it clears out everything that's in your I guess they call it my day, like the focus of today. They clear that out, and so you have to rebuild it, which is fine, but I like to plan my day tomorrow. I like to plan it today, and you cannot do that, right? There's no real way to do that. Has that been your experience?
That's 100% my experience. So I'm with you on the try every to-do app out there.
Right.
Uh, I'm pretty sure at one point in time, at least, I had everyone that was available in the Apple App Store. I on my iPad, trying to figure out which one works best for me, and I would hop from one to the next and whatever. And I settled on To Do. It may even have been at your suggestion, Microsoft To Do, but I really like it. And the same experience with you. I love the ability to move the stuff around and whatever. I also like the ability to put them into, I don't remember what Microsoft calls them, but basically folders. So I can have a folder for like my client work and a folder for the stuff I need to do to run my business. And those are both important things that need to be done, but they shouldn't be on the same list in terms of planning my day or my week or whatever. And then when I decide to plan my particular day, or I'm thinking about the week ahead or whatever, then I can pick from those different buckets. These are the things I need to focus on this week or today or whatever. But I have to tell you that the being unable to schedule tomorrow as I'm closing down today drives me nuts.
Right.
I think that's an important thing.
It's like a ritual, right? It's sort of a
Right.
cleansing ritual to let you feel free to leave your desk. You've got a plan, right?
And I think literally that process is what's important, not so much the list that you start tomorrow with, but the actual process itself. And I read a lot in the productivity space and listen to podcasts and watch videos or whatever. And my wife says I get a lot more done if I just did work instead of trying to figure out
Instead
how
of
to
planning, right?
yes,
Planning
planning to get work done.
paralysis.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the things that almost all of these people talk about is the necessity of sort of letting go of the day, leaving work behind and going and enjoying the rest of your life, whatever it may be for the rest of the day. And that process of, okay, I'm done with what I'm doing today and I'm planning out, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. So when I sit down at my desk, I don't have to think about, oh, well, what should I do first? Or what do I need to tackle right away? Now, I've already planned that. I planned that yesterday when I shut down for the day. And once I got that planned, then I'm done for the day. I can walk away and go work on something else that unrelated to my job as a lawyer, whatever it is that I want to do, whether it's a hobby or just hanging out and doing nothing.
Yeah, and you
Um,
really feel it on Sunday, if you work kind of a Monday through Friday routine, whatever routine you work, the day before you enter your week is sort of a big moment, right? That's,
right.
I like to come into the office on Sunday, middle of the day and start visualizing what next week looks like. And it would be nice to be able to load it up. But if you do, you're going to go to bed and you're going to wake up as completely blank.
And
And
it's all gone. Poof,
yeah, and it's
gone.
all gone. And I do understand and appreciate what I think is the sort of the workflow philosophy behind it, which is if you're never forced to clear that list off, then it just becomes building and building, and eventually you're basically working out of your inbox. You
Right.
never make a plan of the day. And I would never clear that thing out. I would always just I would leave the office and I would leave that list there and I would keep working from it the next day. So it's not that I'm asking for the feature to be removed or criticizing it, but it's definitely that if there was some kind of setting that I could plan it the day before, that would be helpful. And I'll tell you, I Googled this and I looked through all the Microsoft forums, and there's a lot of people complaining about it. And there are Microsoft people that go into those forums that have been responding to it. And the best advice that I can find from anybody at Microsoft is that what they want you to do is actually assign dates. So what you can do is you can turn on there's a tab, and in Microsoft To Do they call them smart lists. So and you can toggle all these smart lists on or off. And one of the smart lists is you can show tasks that are quote planned, and then you can assign them basically a due date of tomorrow. But it's a little confusing to do it that way because I sort of don't like to mix actual deadlines with things that are not actual deadlines,
Right.
so not sure about that.
Yeah. So I'm not like, for some things I will put a date in Microsoft To Do, but almost everything I put in there, I put in without a date.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, if it's
it's
not a
just
deadline, it shouldn't have a
right.
deadline attached to it.
Right. And even if it is a deadline, generally I have that information elsewhere, and not necessarily storing it in To Do.
Yeah.
So I don't like that at all. And the last thing, I really want, if I've got a task that's due today, it shouldn't be on my to-do list for today. It should have been on my to-do list, days ago. So then what do? Put in fake dates in front of the date on which it's actually
Right.
due?
Yeah,
I
exactly. And I think that what would really fix it for me is if Microsoft had a button in there that was just like a reset button. And so what you would do is that when you hit the reset button at any point, then the My Day module would time out not at the next midnight, but at the following midnight after that, right? So if it's 5 p.m. and you've got 20 tasks in your My Day, you would click reset. And you could either clear and reset, or you could keep and reset. And if you said keep and reset, then what you're basically saying is leave everything that's queued up right now. Don't expire it at midnight tonight, expire it at midnight tomorrow, unless I hit reset again, right?
Yes, but then you're just going to end up with a
You
giant to-do
just got to keep
list.
getting reset. I know. So,
It'd be, which is again one of the things that all the productivity people caution against. Like, you sit down for the day, you shouldn't have a list of 20 things to do. It should be three, maybe,
yeah,
uh,
that's right.
to
That's
to
right.
get it done for the day. And if you get all three of those, bless you, add another one to your list and start working on it. But
Yeah, that's a very
uh,
good point. And I think that's one thing that they haven't really captured in Microsoft To Do, even as an option. And you do see it in agile workflows where you can set a work in progress limit. And there are workforce productivity studies that will say if your work in progress limit is set above 3 or 4, that productivity actually tanks. When you tell a worker, you have 7 things to do in your inbox, something psychologically shuts down. Whereas if you tell them you have 3 things to do, and once you complete it, we'll put more things in your box. That's fine.
right.
That works.
which I absolutely believe. It's just like with the first, you get overwhelmed. I've got all this stuff to do. It seems like a never-ending list. But if you're told you've got three things to do, okay, well that seems reasonable. I can do three things, and then even if I know that when I get done, that list just gets filled back up again. Um, that's one of the things that you mentioned there was the inbox, and I think that's something important to point out with the Microsoft To Do is the ability to quickly and easily move emails from Outlook to Microsoft To Do. As you mentioned before, it's all one ecosystem, and the ability or that integration between the two is actually fantastic. And to move a task from Outlook to do, all you have to do is click the flag. That's generally out at the right edge of your Outlook inbox. If it doesn't appear there, you can go up and change it so that column shows up, and you click the flag, and it automatically shows up in Microsoft To Do as a flagged email as a task for you to complete.
So every email that you have flagged, you view it as a to do.
Yes.
Okay. And so then how do you but then once you flag it, you put it in a folder, right?
Yes. I file my emails. Um, I know there are people who don't. Jim Calloway from the State Bar of Oklahoma says that people are either pilers or filers.
Right.
And I think that's true. And I'm definitely a filer. I like to file those emails in client or matter folders. Um, there are plenty of other people who just have one giant inbox, and if they want to find something in it, they search it.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that's fine. That would drive me nuts.
So yeah, right. And you kind of have to get into the habit of filing it, which is people who don't file things away. I think that there's a fear that's behind that, and the fear is if I file it, I will forget about it. Whereas if I don't file it, then every time I look around my desk or open up Outlook, it's going to be right there, sort of yelling at me. And
Right.
and so your system might be a nice combination. Whereas if you had confidence that you are going to go into Microsoft To Do and you're going to work from Microsoft To Do, then your inbox can be basically empty, right? Or at least you have a process in place where you can empty your
Right.
inbox when you want to. And then when you come up to the to do, then you can open up Outlook and go into the folder, and all of the emails that aren't flagged are essentially reference, right? They're part of
Yeah,
the
just
file.
saved as part of the file. Yeah,
Yeah. So then how do you
absolutely.
organize the Outlook folder where all of the emails, so I'm assuming your Outlook folders would be sort of matter centric organized. So there's a client, and then there's a matter or a series of matters, and inside the matter folders are emails relevant to that matter, right?
That's exactly how I do it.
Yeah, or at least that's
Yeah.
that's the theory. that's
Yes.
that's the goal.
Yeah. I ideally, I won't say that every email gets in there, and part of that is the ubiquity of the mobile, because um, if I send or receive emails or whatever on a mobile device, then they're just sort of stuck in my inbox or in my sent folder. If I do it from my computer, I was going to say desktop, it's a Surface, but whatever, my actual computer, then I file it using an integration into Outlook called SimplyFile. SimplyFile, yeah, I think that's what it's called. It's made by TechHit.
At TechHit, which I got to say, and we're not even sponsored by TechHit, but I will plug them anyway. I love this company, TechHit, and they make SimplyFile, and I think they primarily specialize in Outlook plugins, right? Almost every product they
Right.
have is an Outlook plugin, and you can subscribe annually to each one of these plugins. But I too use SimplyFile, and I have found that anytime I rebuild my computer, I get a new computer and I've got everything set up, but I don't have my TechIt plugins plugged in. It is so screamingly
Frustrating.
noticeable,
Yeah.
right? Everything grinds to a halt. That's how dependent I am upon TechIt. It's a great, great company. I've been using them for years.
Right. And so I use SimplyFile. Again, I've been using them for more than a decade because I started using them before I went out on my own, and that was 2010. So for a long time, I've been giving them money and happily.
Right, happily.
Like, but
It's very affordable.
right, $30 or something a year for SimplyFile, whatever it is, I don't even think about. That is a payment I am happy to make. I don't think about it. I'm not concerned. Whatever, take my money, make my life easier, and
Keep
then
making
all
stuff,
it
right? Make
right,
more
yeah.
things.
And so, and the way it works, if people aren't familiar with it, when I go to send an email, when it sends, TechHit pops, SimplyFile pops up and says, "Hey, where do you want to file this email?" And it's intelligent in the sense that it learns based on
Mm-hmm.
the recipient or the title or keywords that are in it, and it'll suggest to you the folder that it thinks it should go in, and it's right most of the time, the vast majority of the time. And if it's not, it's very easy to direct it to the right folder or create a new folder or whatever it is that you need to do.
And
Um,
it's great. Then later, when you want to look at the emails associated with the matter, you invoke it again. For me, it's Control Shift F is how I bring up the SimplyFile dialog, and I can just start typing it in. If I want to go to the Acme folder, I'll start typing Acme, and it will pop up a list of all the subfolders under Acme. You click it, and instead of clicking File, you click Go to Folder, and boom, you're in the folder. So
it's right there.
it's
Yeah,
so fast.
I find that so useful a lot of times, not so much for finding client emails, but emails related to my firm. And I don't remember where I filed. Like, did I file them in my general Sims Law Firm folder, or is it in a particular vendor folder, or is it a particular type of service folder? What is it? And I don't always remember where it's filed, but I can usually drill down and get a pretty good idea just by doing that search uh, in SimplyFile to, okay, well, let's look at this folder. No, it's not in there. Let's go to the next one
Yeah.
without having to sort through and find each of those individual files.
Yeah, and it's so smart that when you get a new email associated with the matter, instead of you're not ready to file it, like you just got the email and you want to open the folder for that matter, you can invoke SimplyFile and it already knows what it goes to. It's so you can
Right.
just open the folder and it's right there. But anyway, back to the point. So you click the flag, you flag the email, and then you use SimplyFile to file it in the folder. But then later, when you go to the folder, so for me, when I open up a folder associated with a project that I'm doing, I have all the emails in there that are sort of relevant flagged so that they float to the top. You sort by flagged email.
Right.
But and so that sort of disables my ability to use what you're saying, because not everything that I have flagged is actually a to do. It's more, marking that email as more relevant than all the back and forth stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so like the latest version of a document I need to edit will be flagged so it pops at the top.
And so I don't use my flags that way at all, and I never have. That's one of the things I think comes from spending a lot of time working in Outlook as your source of to do or tasks or whatever. And I don't like to do that. So um, if I've got an important email, generally I will print it and save it to the file. And when I say print, I don't mean on a piece of paper.
Thank you.
I,
Thank you for
I,
clarifying that.
I print it
Take your printer away.
electronically. Yes, I print it electronically to PDF and save it to my electronic file. Like, there aren't paper files in this office. Um, and I'll save that email that way so that if I need something, I will go back to the file to get that important email or information that's in the email rather than going back to Outlook. And I sort of, my goal, let's say that my goal, it doesn't always work out this way, is to sort of treat the stuff that's filed in Outlook as offsite storage, in that that information is there, but that shouldn't be where I go to get it unless I can't find it elsewhere. That I should be looking somewhere else, whether that's at the task that's in my Microsoft To Do or in my uh, electronic file that has all my documents and stuff on the computer, or my practice management software, whatever it is. Um, that I use to capture that information, that should be somewhere outside of Outlook. So I'm not using Outlook as my work folder, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
it's a
that
communication
makes
tool.
sense.
So that's just the way I try to do it. I'm not saying your right way is wrong, but you could probably just tag or categorize your folders or emails or give them a color to mark them as important, and you still be able to use the flag for Microsoft To Do.
Yeah, I was just thinking that probably using categories would be a good way for me to do it. So then when I go to the folder, then I could sort the contents of the folder by category, which would actually give me a lot more flexibility because instead of just, a binary attribute flagged or unflagged, I could have a category A, a category B, category C, and I could sort them that way. Or you could have a category for, you know, reference emails or to do emails, which I guess would be flagged.
Right.
Document versions of the document. Most of what I do is back and forth with, Microsoft Word documents, and so you generate iteration after iteration. And so it's important to keep track of, version control and things like that. So the categories would actually work. And now that I think about it, TechHit has another product called Simply Tag, which just as easy to add categories to emails as it is to assign them to files. So yeah, there's one more thing I can buy from TechHit.
There you go. Give them some more money. That's
Yeah,
all right. Keep them in business.
they need to
They're
build more things. Yeah, it's so nice and it's stuff that just works. And so you gotta love a company that that does that. Yeah,
100%. I absolutely love them for that. And
yeah, yeah,
like
for
you,
sure.
plug them at every opportunity, and all they've done is take money from me. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and back to Microsoft To Do. I'm almost wondering if this conversation has been had endlessly inside Microsoft. The conversation that we were having at the top of the podcast, where because Microsoft, if you sort of put yourself in their shoes, they're thinking, okay, we need to find a way to keep people from working out of their inbox. We need to find a way to keep the daily task list fresh.
right.
Well, and yeah, people are complaining that it expires at midnight, but what are our options? We could let them preserve it, which takes them right back to working out of their inbox. Um, but I do think that if they had a reset button, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm done with my day, and now I'm ready to plan tomorrow. So I click the reset button, and instead of at midnight it clearing out, immediately it clears out. And then I could start adding things in there that will then expire at midnight the following day or until I clear it out manually myself. Right.
And I actually I love that idea that it will, and they can still set it to automatically clear it out if you haven't done a manual reset.
Yeah. Like a
So
manually adds the rest of the time between now and midnight and the next 24 hours after that. Right.
right.
Which would give you the opportunity to clear it out multiple times a day. Honestly, if you just, this day is gone to heck, I'm going to start over. You could do
Right.
it.
I mean, that certainly happened to me. I don't know about you, but I come into the office and I sit down and everything I have planned for the day goes out the door because, somebody calls with an emergency or whatever. Boom, clear that out. And, we're on to something different for the day. We have to replan the day. But being able to, I love that idea where I can do a manual reset. So I clear it out as part of my
Anytime
closing
you want.
down the day process. Yes, but particularly at the end of the day, I can clear it out and schedule my next day, and knowing that it's not going to expire at midnight because I've manually cleared it. So it's given me at least till tomorrow at midnight before it clears it out. And then I can schedule my day. And then when I sit down on my computer in the morning, I'm ready to go. I pull up Microsoft To Do and it's all right there.
I think we might have cracked this nut here. We need to get this off to Microsoft and let them go ahead and fix that. And, we
Yeah,
don't even have to take credit for it. They can have this for free.
absolutely. All they have to do is listen to us. One of the other things I wanted to touch on, I know we're running, close to half an hour, but one of the things I wanted to touch on was the other integrations with Microsoft To Do, in particular Microsoft Planner. So if you're familiar with the Kanban board or Trello or any of these numerous products that are trying to do this now, that's Microsoft has a version of that called Microsoft Planner, and
It's
it
like
too
Trello.
has, yes, it's like Trello, and it too has good integration with Microsoft To Do, and that you can, and this is the place where I would uh, assign due dates and things like that in Microsoft To Do, and you can assign them to other people if you have an organization of more than just you. I don't, it's me. So I'm assigning tasks to myself, but I can plan them all out in Microsoft Planner and then assign them individually to go to my to do, or if there were other people in my office, to their to do to get done. So it's not like I add something to Microsoft Planner and it automatically shows up in my Microsoft To Do. No, I can send it over there a piece at a time as I work on or complete a project. So I think that's real valuable. And again, comes with your Microsoft 365 subscription if you have the business essentials or whatever they've decided to call it this week. Um, but it comes included. You're already paying for it or getting it for free, however you look at it.
And
Uh,
it's interesting because Microsoft Planner is integrated with Microsoft Teams, and Teams could be a whole another podcast at some point.
right.
Um, but I have been doing this. I have a couple of clients who like to do this, where we will make a team, and they're in the team, and I'm in the team, and that's where we put our documents for review. And then in Planner, we can make so basically, if you're not familiar with Trello, Planner is just like that, where you make lists, and on the list you make cards, and then you can move the cards from list to list to list, and you can attach things to the cards. And so in our case, we might say, document one is a card, and you attach the document to it, and the document lives inside the team, and it's just connected to the Planner card. And then document two is a card, and it's attached to it. And if you open up the document from the card, you can edit the document live, and they can edit it as well, and you can keep track of who's editing what and rollback versions and all that. But then the list will have, like a list is documents that are in my court, documents that are in their court, and you can actually spread that out to by individual. There's an Aaron list, there's a Bryan list, etc. And everybody can look at the board and see, who needs to make a response on which document, and then you're trying to move them all the way to the end of the board to done, to
Right.
adopted or signed or whatever. And it works pretty well when you have one of these projects that has, some of these might have 40 or 50 documents that you kind of keep track of, and Planner is a really nice way to do it.
Yeah, it's a really powerful program, and again, included in the price. However you want to
Throw it
look at
in.
that, you've got it. You might as well start using the stuff that you're getting from your Microsoft 365 subscription, including Microsoft To Do, Microsoft Planner, Teams, if that makes sense for you. Again, I'm a true solo. I'm a team of one. Teams is really overpowered for anything that I need to do. But Microsoft Planner, absolutely useful to plan out longer tasks or things that need to be done in pieces. I like to think a great example of that is I do some appellate work. An appellate brief is really just a project that you need to plan for, because you need to order the transcripts, order the record on appeal, prepare the statement of facts, in each of the sections. The Supreme Court set out in the rules which section, what sections you have to have. Those are just individual projects that
Yeah,
need to be
right.
done, or individual tasks that need to be done in a project. Some take longer than others. Putting together the cover, pretty quick, if you've ever done one, because it's all right there. Writing a statement of facts, it's going to take longer, but you can plan all of that out according to the timeline that you have. So uh, very useful for things like that, even if you're not dealing with 40 different contracts that you need to follow and track.
Yeah, that's interesting. I might have to take another look at that app in that context. That um, just when you have one of these big projects, there's a lot of different ways that you can plan it, between, and the idea that it sort of integrates nicely with To Do, and they kind of work well together is also a nice feature, because we're sort of moving away from the days when, like my documents are stored here. I'm using a completely different unrelated app to manage to-dos, so you get that, I used to
Right.
call it fragmentation, trademark. And so now, we're kind of drilling back into having a cohesive system that really works.
Right. And it's great because you finish the task in Microsoft To Do, you check it off. It's completed in Microsoft To Do, and it's completed in Microsoft Planner. So everybody knows you've done it. You don't have to check it off in two places. It's all integrated. When it's checked off, it's done. Then you or whoever can go back to Planner and assign more tasks to you in that project. But you don't have the entire project, write an appellant brief. That's not your task for the day.
Right.
you know
Yeah,
your,
exactly.
your task for the day is make sure the transcripts are ordered. Boom, marked it off. Now I go into the next thing,
And you
because
actually get to
that's
check something off, right?
right.
Make your
it,
task small enough. You get that lovely feeling of crossing something off a list, right? That's what we're in it for.
Absolutely. I mean, I will absolutely admit to adding something to my to-do list simply
Just
for
to
the
cross it off.
purpose of crossing it off.
That's
Yes.
right. That feels so good. So, okay, well, we're out of time. I want to thank everybody for listening to the Connected Lawyer podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Bryan. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, topics that you want us to discuss, feel free to reach out to us by email at info@theconnectedlawyer.com. And we'll see you next time.